Think I'm sad, think I'm blue, now that I'm no longer with you. I'm on vacation, far away, and nothing you could say could ever change my mind. Everything is...
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Strategy Room. I'm Rick Fulbaum, and sitting next to me is the lovely Amy Allen, who we were just listening to. Amy is a musician who's got a new album that's out called A Little Happiness. She's performing tonight with Sugar Ray here in New York City at the Fillmore at Irving Plaza, a performance tonight. And you guys are on the road for the next couple of months, you and Sugar Ray?
Yeah, till September 26th.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We just heard a little bit of a song. Is that Vacation that we just heard?
On Vacation, yeah.
On Vacation, which has a really nice sort of island feel to it, which I guess is appropriate for a song about being on vacation. But tell me about this this CD that is recently out. What is there like sort of an overall theme here?
Yeah, it's acoustic, reggae influenced pop music. You know, for like music to drink margaritas to barbecue to just like chill out.
Good summertime stuff.
Perfect summertime music, which is you know, being on tour with Sugar Ray is like a perfect sort of piece to the puzzle of the whole celebration of summer. So yeah.
Very nice. Well, we have to celebrate summer. It already feels like summer's almost gone. Almost. I mean, we're already in August. The music on here. Did you write the music? Do you write the lyrics and the music, and you sing it as well?
Yeah, it's a very autobiographical. So it's my life. So it's pretty much like reading my diary. Yeah. So
you grew up in Southern California?
Grew up in Montana.
In Montana?
Missoula, Montana, yeah. But
why did I read that you were from California?
Well, because I live in California,
okay.
And I've lived there for many years. So San Diego and Los Angeles, and so it's very like SoCal inspired meets Montana.
So what are some of the stories that you want? Well, first of all, A Little Happiness is a title. I love that because we could all use a little more happiness in our lives, don't you think?
I mean, with the recession/depression and hyperinflation, I feel like people, you know, need a little vacation, a mental vacation. So when I made this record, I thought, you know, what does the world need now but a little bit of, you know, happiness. So that's really what I hope they can get out of it. Now,
you mentioned the recession and inflation and all of these things. You actually, and a lot of our viewers may be familiar with you in part because of some political activity that you've engaged in over the last couple of months with the last presidential campaign. You were a big Ron Paul supporter, and you actually did you write a song about the Ron Paul Revolution? The Ron Paul Revolution, which sounds nothing like any of the songs that I heard on this album. That's like a real hard rock song. Yeah, it was to get the message out. I just really, you know, was supportive of his ideas and his principles, you know, Constitution. So I didn't think that mainstream media was really paying attention to him. So I thought that maybe through my art I could get the message out. So yeah, I did that for the campaign. Mm-hmm. And he must have loved it. Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, I think he liked it. Yeah, I don't know. Now, how does a musician, a rock star, and a member of Congress running for president, how do they come together? Who introduced the two of you? You just call him up and say, Ron, I like what you're doing. I want to write a song called the Ron Paul Revolution. Is that how that worked? And I just did it, and he saw it, and then it became like it went viral, you know, on YouTube. So he did the rally for the Republic in Minneapolis. So I went. I was asked by his people, called my people, I guess, and I went up and performed for the rally for the Republic. And it was awesome experience. But, you know, it was a really exhausting sort of campaign, you know, long, wasn't it? Leading up to the election. Well, it felt like it was never ending. It was never ending. But it was, from a journalist standpoint, it was a very exciting story to follow. So right, but I mean, it was just so long, and it was just a lot of, I mean, to follow it every moment, which I did. So I think at the end of it, I just needed to go on vacation. So I've been focusing on my music, and I've sort of detached from what's going on in the world lately for my own sanity. Yeah. Are you going to sort of reattach? Because a lot of people who watch the Strategy Room and watch Fox News are very into politics. Yes, I'm going to attach at some point.
after I do this summer tour, I'm going to find out what's going on in the world.
Now, somebody like yourself who's interested in reaching as wide an audience as possible, I wonder if you ran into any kind of issues where people who might not have been Ron Paul supporters, sort of took offense to some of the positions that you took during the campaign trail, or do people who are music fans, are they able to sort of differentiate?
I don't know. It's a really good question, and
You, Amy.
yeah, I think that music is hopefully unifies people, and they don't look at my political views and not listen to my reggae influenced pop and become offended by it because of my libertarian leaning views. Libertarian, I don't feel like is too I don't know. It doesn't seem very controversial to me.
No, it's pretty.
It's
pretty mainstream. It's like live and let live, pretty much, right?
I mean, yeah, it seems like the artist's way, to not control and overregulate. It just seems very artistic.
But were there people? You talk about your people. Were there people, in your circle who were saying, you know what, Amy, maybe you might want to just sort of tone it down a little bit with all of the, the Ron Paul stuff, or you get involved in politics, you never know, who you might offend or turn off.
At that particular time when I did the Ron Paul song, and I was doing the video and doing that, didn't have a record label, and I just didn't have anyone telling me what to do. So yeah, I was just a free entity. Now
Ron Paul, and we'll switch from Ron Paul in a minute, but he had some ideas that I know a lot of people share when it comes to, I think, like UFO stuff or secret tunnels that the government was sort of drilling around. Was that anything that you subscribe to yourself? Are you a conspiracy theorist?
I mean, it's there's some.
A lot of people are. I'm sure a lot of people watching right now are.
There's some things that I wouldn't consider myself a conspiracy theorist, although some people close to me think that my actual facts are conspiracies. But yeah, some people think that I am. I tend to think that I do research, and some of these things are real, and some of it is,
It's not so real.
It's not so real, yeah.
When people listen to A Little Happiness, they buy your album, and they listen to your music, what kind of feeling? Obviously, it's called A Little Happiness, so maybe this is not the best question I've ever asked, but what do you want people to take away from listening to your new record?
I want them to feel that they're not alone in the world, and somebody else understands them, their pain, or what they've gone through, and I just want them to feel a little happier than they were before they put it on.
Are you happy?
Not at all.
You're not happy? Well, how the hell do you make a record called A Little Happiness if you yourself are not?
No, I'm a little happy. I really am a little happy, and it's a work in progress. At some point, I'll be a lot happier than I am today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe later on today.
Yeah, now you have the
happy.
carrot. Look at that. Thanks. Amy Allen with the carrot. That's very famous here in these parts. You probably have no idea why you've just been tossed a stuffed carrot, but trust us, it's all good. Amy Allen's record, it's a Little Happiness, and it sounds great. I spent some time listening to it this afternoon, and I really enjoyed it. Amy's performing with the carrot and with Sugar Ray all over the country, so look for them. And if you're in the New York City area, you can check them out tonight at Irving Plaza. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you for
all the best
me.
to you.
Thank you so much.
All right, come on back again soon. Amy Allen, everybody. All right, now, before we move on, we've got a great panel coming up in just a minute or so. But before we, and Amy's going to take off her microphone, Robert Pascucci has been an intern here at the Strategy Room for Jordan Chariton for the last, I don't know how many months. We'll find out in a moment. But he's a fine young man, and he has worked very hard during this internship. It's Rob's farewell, as you can see. And so we thought it would be nice to sort of do a little debriefing and have him on the show and ask him how it went. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. You are an intern, so that means you're in college right now.
I am.
And where do you go to school? How far along are you, and what are you studying?
I'm going to be in my senior year. I'm studying integrated marketing communications with a legal studies minor. And I'm actually going to be moving out to L.A. within the week.
To do what?
I'm going to be getting an internship with whatever company I can secure one with, including I've applied to Sony and other production companies. I have offers from Sony already, and Nickelodeon has just called me.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And now that everyone's going to see you on the strategy room, I'm sure the phone calls will be coming in like crazy. So tell me about the internship. How did it go?
Amazing.
Yeah?
I
What kind of stuff did you do while you were here?
Pretty much everything you can imagine. I've helped run the TriCaster. I've gotten behind a camera. I've done research. I've helped book guests. Pretty much, I've done every aspect of the show that I could possibly want to.
Now, I remember my internships when I was in school, and, you have a certain set of expectations going in of what you think the job is going to be like, what you hope to get out of it. Would you say, now that you're wrapping it up and it's your last day, that this internship sort of met or exceeded or fell far short of your expectations?
Far exceeded my expectations.
Oh, very nice. That's great. And did it lead you to think that you were on the right career path? Because I think that one of the most worthwhile things about internships is that it really gives you a chance to see what it's like in the kind of workplace where you think you might want to be employed one day. And I would imagine that for some people, they get in, they do an internship, and they say, you know what? I don't want to work in television news or in fashion or whatever.
Well, I love being in this building. This is my second Fox internship. Last summer, I worked for The Edge down in the newsroom, and just being in the newsroom was amazing. I mean, having the live desk being filled behind me was just amazing. And now I got to work on the strategy room and meet many different anchors, many different hosts, and I've gotten, I think, a much better experience because of the variety of things that the strategy room covers.
Who was the best host that you got to watch? And who was the most handsome host? No, I'm joking. What's your dream? I'm kidding. What's your dream job, Rob? I mean, if you could, and I'm sure you've been asked this question before and you've thought a lot about it. If you could sort of pick the perfect job for you, Rob Pascucci, what would it be?
I think I would like to work at Fox as a television producer or an internet producer.
So behind the scenes as opposed to in front of the camera?
I really feel more comfortable behind the scenes, doing work that can be looked at on air.
Because you have a full head of hair. You could absolutely work on camera if you wanted to.
And there's a reason why.
Yes, why?
We're about to show you Rob on camera.
Oh, here's a little bit of Rob on camera. Let's take a look at that.
Please hang up and try again.
Hi, I'm Robert Pascucci, and we're here with Strategy Room's Question of the Day to see if people know what UFC stands for.
UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship.
United Funded Union, I don't know.
What does it stand for? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Fighters Corps.
Yeah, Universal Fighters Corporation.
What does UFC stand for?
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Ultimate Fighting Championship?
Ultimate Fighting Center.
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Ultimate Fighting, it's either championship or a competition. I'm going to say Ultimate Fighting Competition. So close.
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
What does UFC stand for?
Something financial code, but I don't know.
Thanks for watching Strategy Room's Question of the Day.
That was pretty good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I thought that was good. We have a tissue in case you get a little emotional here on your last day. Very nice. Well, that was great. And, that's the kind of thing you get to do when you get an internship at Fox News Channel and work here on the Strategy Room. Thanks so much for all of the hard work that you put in. I know that the staff here is very grateful. You did a great job, and best of luck to you in the future. Good luck in the move to Los Angeles, and I hope you get all your dreams come true.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that.
Take care, Rob.
Pleasure meeting you.
Nice meeting you, too. Rob Pascucci, ladies and gentlemen, the Strategy Room summer intern who's wrapping up his time here. Take these tissues with you as a parting gift, and then slide along, because Ellen Ratner and John Tantillo are going to push you out of here.
Get out of
Come
here.
on in.
Get out of here.
You know what I call it? Remember in Captain Hook?
Yes. We can't hear you. We need a microphone for you.
Tarantello.
Oh.
I call him Tarantello.
Tarantella. Well, have a seat, Ellen. Glad that you're here.
All right, I'm there. Tarantello, my love.
Danielle Babb is here.
I'm there, I thought. Am I there?
Is Paul Sullivan here?
I'm here.
Hey, how are you? Rick Folbaum. Nice to meet you.
Tarantello.
It's very informal, so I'll shake your hand later, but I'm glad that you're here.
What time are we going till? We're going just till top of the hour?
We're going till a little bit before the top of the hour because we have a musician who played in Woodstock who's going to come on and join us for the last
I
5-10
was just at the
minutes.
Woodstock Museum on Wednesday.
In Woodstock, New York?
It's actually in Bethel, but it's where it's Adam Yasker's farm.
Is it worth the trip up there?
It is worth the trip up there. It's
Because I got a speeding ticket on my way back from Woodstock, and I vowed I would never go back. There's a highway on the way out of Woodstock.
Did you bring your AARP card?
That's not nice. Wow. That's not nice.
Man, you are an
Ed Sullivan.
Yep. Okay. Where's my picture?
Oh, we're getting it.
He was too young for Woodstock.
Ed Sullivan, Rick Folbaum, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. You know, it's the Sullivan brothers right here. The Sullivan Corner. All right.
I want my picture.
This show's still on, right? We haven't shut off the cameras.
He'll ask if we're taking over, and I say you'll find out.
All right, we're going to get microphones on everybody.
This is the breakdown.
But we're very happy to have our guest with us for the next 25, 30 minutes or so. We'll talk about whatever it is that these folks would like to talk about. Sitting to my immediate right is
got my picture.
Ellen Ratner.
Oh, God.
This is your picture. This is Ellen's picture.
Can I cry?
Is that your boyfriend?
It's my boyfriend, but he was too young for Woodstock.
Does he know that he's your boyfriend?
I did take it in.
Does Michelle know that he's your boyfriend?
I did take it in, and I showed it to the press secretary. And I played the little video, and he looked at the video, and he was like astounded, and then he said, "What is that carrot doing there?" That is honestly what Robert Gibbs said. He said, "What's the carrot for?" I said,
obviously, Robert Gibbs is not watching enough of the strategy room. Sitting next to Ellen is John Tantillo, who is, of course, the marketing doctor, marketingdoctor.tv. How are you, sir?
Oh, just fine.
Always nice to see you.
Thank you, Rick. And
Looking
I got some,
dapper.
Well, I try
He's
to.
always dapper. I'm totally in love with him. I mean, I am in love
How
with
many
him.
boyfriends do you have, Ellen?
Well, one that I kiss and one that I hug.
Did you want to say something?
I have some interesting data that whenever you're ready, I'd like to share it with the group and with the audience.
We'll get there.
Okay,
Sitting
sure.
next to John is Dr. Danielle Babb. Am I pronouncing that correct? Danny, it's great to see you. Danny is the founder of the Babb Group, and drdaniellebabb.com is the website. We've got it up there. Glad that you're here. And you do a little bit of everything.
I'm kind of missing a bow tie here, so maybe
I know
add
we're one bow tie short here.
Is it like
the
a French
bow tie.
manicure? I've never seen a manicure like that. That's really cool. What is it?
It's like it's the cool French manicure.
It's a
Hold
very
it up,
cool
Danny,
manicure.
so we could.
See the
Wow!
tips.
I've never seen anything like that. That is really cool.
Wait, hold on.
Maybe I could get kissy with.
Go ahead.
Oh no! Come on, guys.
Oh, those look nice. I like that.
Isn't that unusual? I've never seen that. Did you invent that?
Actually, I sort of did.
You know who invented it? You know who invented
I
it?
could order off eBay the stuff that you need to continue it.
Well, lovely nails. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
here. Ed Sullivan
I actually
is
have a
sitting
brain
next to
too,
Danny.
besides the nails, but
Ed
yeah.
Sullivan is a former New York Democratic Assemblyman from the 69th District of New York.
Where's that?
Where is the
On the
69th?
Upper West Side.
Upper West Side.
Upper West Side.
Upper, like Morningside Heights?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, lovely area.
Right in there, yes.
Columbia University
I like
campus up there. Former chairman of Higher Education Committee.
Yes, sir.
Very nice.
It
Glad
was.
that you're here. And sitting next to Ed Sullivan is Paul Sullivan, who is a columnist for the New York Times, who writes a great column. It's relatively new, right?
Yeah, since December.
Since December, so not quite a year. It's called Wealth Matters. And I love the concept of this column, Paul. What you're doing is you're sharing the secrets of the wealthy with the rest of us.
More or less, yep.
Pretty much, right?
And I have
Share
the,
away, my friend.
and
We need them.
I have the angry emails from disgruntled readers to prove it.
Okay.
Why are they disgruntled? What are they angry about?
They're
not wealthy.
Some people don't like to read about the wealthy right now. So, but it's been great fun.
What are the
and,
secrets? Give me just two of them.
Make lots of money and don't spend very much of it.
Yeah, you know what? I don't make much and I spend a lot.
Well, then that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I figured
You're
that out.
stimulating the economy and making him, your boyfriend, look good.
That's right.
Well, I'm glad that you're all here, and so we have 2 bow ties,
females.
1 straight tie, 2 females. I'm tieless today.
No, but it's more than that. We have 2 bow ties, 2 Sullivans, 2 doctors.
Wow.
Yeah, yes.
2 couples. The couples.
Right, and what am I? I'm just like a kissing
You have 2
Obama.
boyfriends.
Right. Exactly.
I have. Oh, never mind.
All right, I'm glad that you're all here. You know, one of the things that that a lot of people are upset about when it comes to the Obama health care is the plan to tax the very wealthiest in order to pay for coverage for people who are currently not covered.
Great idea.
And so that opens up a whole slew of questions and problems, and people are like, well, you know, how do you define the very wealthiest? And you could, of course, look at percentages, which is what the Obama administration has done. But there are
no
an awful lot of
owning
people.
my company why I should have to pay as little as my staff who makes $40,000. Now, I own the company, so I pay for the majority of their health insurance. But I'm sorry, I could afford to pay more.
You can afford to pay more, but does it?
And that's the right thing to do.
Does
in
it
our
prevent
society.
you, though, as a small business owner, Ellen, and the majority of business owners in this country are small business owners? Do you think that having to pay more in taxes or pay in penalties for if you choose not to provide health insurance for you, does it prevent you from growing your company, from hiring people?
What?
We're at a time when people
if
need
I cannot
jobs.
buy health insurance for my employees, I ought not to be in business. That's just how I feel.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dani.
200 entrepreneurs I met with yesterday. My partner and I read hundreds of business plans every week. We have people who are so worried about this legislation going through and the tax that it's going to create for their small business. Keep in mind that 37% of the nation is employed by people. It's 42 million people employed by companies that have 100 or fewer less employees, which is 1/5, by the way, of the size that's defined by the Small Business Administration. So it's really tiny companies, 42 million people. These companies are so freaked out. They're not investing in R&D. They're saying that the CBOs estimating as many as 2 million jobs could be lost because of this. This 8% tax or the 12% increase in healthcare costs as a result is not going to be good for business. It's going to squeeze the heck out of small business owners. And there was not one in that audience yesterday of 200 people that thought that they could afford this and that this would be a good idea. Not one.
Go ahead, Ed.
But you see, if this were a national program and everyone had to pay the amount, then there wouldn't be a competitive problem because everybody would have to pay for it. And so eventually that cost would be put in the price of the product, and everybody who bought the products, whatever they make, would then be paying for this. It would be a transfer of wealth. Admittedly,
I just have to put. And not only that, but you know what? I've seen my employees when they don't have health care, and they let things go, and they let things go, and they let things go, and then they get sicker. And you know what? I pay for it for them being sick.
You can have all the health care you want, and it's not going to prevent somebody from becoming obese and diabetic. And I think that the bigger issue here is cost. And if you want to tax the wealthy, you touched on it in the beginning, Rick, what is wealthy? I mean, in some places they say anything over $250,000, anything over $350,000. Depending where you're watching this show, that could seem very wealthy. In a place like New York City, a couple making $250,000 a year does not consider themselves wealthy. They feel overtaxed to begin with. They feel that they are barely scraping by as upper middle class. And so then the issue becomes if everyone's paying, everyone's not going to be paying. There's going to be a group of people who are not going to be able to pay. The single-payer system is the notion that everybody has money and can make their premium payments. I mean, we have a graduated income tax, so we all pay different levels of taxes. Sure. However, but when it comes to healthcare, I think from the people I interview for my column, what they're most afraid of is being forced into something, and it's a bad choice. It's a bad choice between badly run private healthcare and even worse run government healthcare.
I'm on Medicare.
Let me turn to John. Go ahead.
I'm on Medicare. It works fine. No one interferes with what doctor I see.
What about the cost?
I pay a premium every month.
To the nation. Do we really want to incur this debt? You talk about, okay, let's level the playing
field.
field.
Well, somebody's sick, they need a doctor.
Everyone is going to be competing, and we're all playing on the same field. That's fine. But businesses today in the United States are not just competing with businesses in the United States. They're competing globally.
And
where
guess
this
what? Is not
every
required.
Western country
provides health
not
care.
competing against only Western countries. Mostly they're competing with Asian countries.
Hold on 1 second, John. Now, I know you've got some great information. Sure. But I'm wondering now, because we're talking about who is wealthy.
And who considers himself wealthy. And here we have Ellen, who says that she's a small business owner and she feels compelled, a responsibility. She wants to provide health insurance for her employees, but clearly there are many who do not feel that way. And when you look at the people who are turning up at these town hall meetings and literally screaming in the faces of their lawmakers, these people, and forgive me, I hope I'm not being stereotypical here, but a lot of them don't look like they're the wealthiest people in the country. Right. And even they are opposed to what's going on.
Right. Well, you know, referring to our good friend Paul Sullivan and his idea about his column of wealth, when they say it's not about the money, it's about the money. And when you take a look at what's happening at these town hall meetings, I have some data here that would suggest that this might really be real. And I did some quick math, and if you take a look, I have found basically what I found by doing some quick and dirty math. 47% of the country would be in favor of what Obama and Congress is proposing, and 52%, or 64 million people, are against it. 58 people are in favor of it. So you have some real data here suggesting there's a lot of people that aren't for this plan.
And yet because they don't understand it.
Oh, that's being very patronizing.
It's going to cost us $1 gajillion. You're not going to have as many choices. You guys, small businesses are freaked out about so much. Cap and tax, energy tax.
What choices don't you have?
Income tax, dividend tax, you name it. Why are we trying to put more pressure on small businesses? That's you. You do not represent the rest of America.
I bring up two states. I bring up Massachusetts and I bring up California. Look what happened when they allowed the more liberal approach to health care. Their states are bankrupt. We cannot, at this particular point in time, afford it.
Go ahead. John made a good point. The Massachusetts example is even harsher than that because Boston City Hospital, which is the hospital that accepts all the indigent people, the people who can't pay in the city of Boston, is bankrupt. Why? Because the rebates that they're getting from the state of Massachusetts for the health insurance that the state's created to fill in for those who can't get private insurance is not refunding them enough money per person.
But Boston City's always been basically bankrupt.
I mean, it's never, don't they?
You know, I mean,
they can't because they can't charge more because there's a cap as to how much they're going to get reimbursed.
I lived in Boston for 22 years. I know a million people that worked as nurses there. And the fact is, it was always the place of last resort. They used to call them,
but
you know.
It's a stopgap. It's to help people who can't get help anywhere else, and it's great that it exists.
Well, in New York, every hospital has to take someone in the emergency room. If you show up at an emergency room in New York State, you have to be taken in. And there is a bad debt and charity pool that reimburses the hospital for the expense of that. It's a fairer way than having one hospital where all the destitute go, which I think is a bad idea.
I have been working the last several days on a series for Fox News Radio that's going to run over the next 3 weeks. I've been interviewing people on all sides of this issue, even the head of a small business owners association who is in favor, whose organization represents small business owners around the country, and he says the vast majority of his members are in favor of health care reform. But also people who are against it, people who work at think tanks, people who work former government, White House employees. I have been struck, though, in the interviews that I've done, at the level of agreement that exists, even amongst people who could not be more, diametrically opposed, that there seems to be a real agreement, a consensus that something needs to be done.
Yes.
That the system as it is right now is just untenable.
I worked for 15 years in the healthcare field. I was in mental health. I ran alcohol and drug treatment centers. I know a lot about healthcare. And I will tell you something. You have got to put in preventive health care, and you talk about obesity, but the fact is you could do something about obesity, and you can begin to educate people, and you can cut, if we cut down on obesity in this country, and change the sugar drinks and all that kind of stuff that you're drinking, et cetera, you could save $100 to $150 billion a year, and that would pay for what we're doing.
Wait a minute.
That is not going to pay for it. If we believe the Congressional Budget Office, it will not pay for it. Those two numbers have nothing to do with each other.
They are wrong.
Oh my God.
Because they did not factor in the value of early treatment. They did not factor that in.
But they came back out with new analysis, and they are factoring in preventative care, which is part of the provision.
We've gotten figures
was zero. It's not
from the
zero.
CBO of $900 billion to 1.3 trillion. That's ranged over 10 years.
Yeah, how is a new healthcare system going to keep people from eating too much and becoming obese?
Absolutely.
I sat next to a guy from
becomes personal
I
responsibility.
sat next to a doctor who works for McKinsey on a plane the other day. And what he said is that they're doing some work in Egypt. They said the nice thing about not having a democracy is the government can say something and it just happens, which is what happens in Egypt. He said they are saving like unbelievable amounts of money by giving Egyptians preventive health care and rewarding doctors and rewarding systems that actually do preventive health care. We could do it.
Well, that's what I've that's
sure,
what I've heard as well, is that the new system, whatever it ends up being, has to put more of an emphasis on quality and not quantity, and that the way the system is structured right now, doctors are paid for the number, the volume.
They pay a lot of money for surgery,
and that prevents them from spending the kind of time with the patient to go over nutrition and to give the kind of background. I'm not
You're
advocating.
55 years old. You should see a doctor once a year at least. Once you get to be about 55, you probably should go into the doctor. But if you don't have any kind of plan, then you don't go into the doctor because it's going to cost you money and that you don't have. So you don't go in. And so the diabetes, which could be handled reasonably well early on, grows and grows and grows until it's a crisis. The person either dies or has a couple of limbs amputated. That's not an efficient way of handling health care. It's better to have the person coming in, getting his treatment if he needs it, and then.
See,
Go ahead,
I'm constructing an article right now on the American national character, and no one really has, I felt, addressed this. And the reason why America is that people from all over the world feel that they can come here and make it. And the reason for that is because we don't have a regressive tax system. And the problem with this health care that a lot of people are afraid of is that if this gets implemented, the taxes are going to be so regressive, it is going to be just like every other European country. And that is the reason why every other European country or industrial country in the world has it, and we in the United States don't, because in America, that's what differentiates ourselves. We are rugged individualists, and that's the difference between
You're the
what we
cutest
do.
thing in the world, but you're wrong.
Well, I could be wrong. I just thought that I would present that,
Thank you,
and
John.
that's the.
Go ahead, Paul.
Rick, one thing you mentioned is, these doctors are doing test after test after test, not having enough time to spend, quality time with the patient about preventive care. What we haven't touched on, and what Obama hasn't touched on, is the reason they're doing test after test after test is they're afraid of litigation.
Exactly.
And nobody's touched on tort reform. If you're a doctor and you're essentially working until September or October to pay for your malpractice insurance before you start, and your overhead, before you start bringing any money home, that's ridiculous.
No, I believe it or not, I actually do believe that there has to be some measure of
So why aren't
I see Pam the knife, my sister.
So why aren't Democratic lawmakers talking about that? I haven't heard that be a part of the debate at all.
I was in the legislature. It's illogical for the legislature, let's say in 2009, to decide that an event that is going to occur in 2011, here's what the damage is, and here's who's culpable.
Right,
you can't do that in advance.
You could send it to arbitration.
That's why you have. That's why you have
force
courts.
arbitration.
That's why you have courts to do that.
We know that 50% of physicians' costs in California are actually exactly what you're saying, insurance. And that was the note that I had written down. So if we can cap the litigation and the cost of lawsuits, then physicians can focus less on tests, more on what the probability is that somebody has a specific disease. Test for a specific
Deborah Orrin, who was a reporter, she was the Washington Bureau chief.
The late Deborah Orrin.
The late Deborah Orrin. She was my very close friend, a right winger, but she was the New York Post columnist. So her dying wish to me was, I said, "What can I do for you, Deborah?" She said, "Get me a malpractice attorney." So I got her one. 4 out of 5 cases. We just heard the case we lost in a New York court here. In my view, the doctor was as negligent as the day is long, and I testified. Blah 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 blah. And 4 out of 5 cases in New York lose. So it isn't like in
Right.
New York
But
courts
they
that they
do
go
lose,
that they're
but
being given
the other problem is that
huge amounts of money.
insurance companies will force a settlement upon a doctor because they don't want to take the
And they
risk.
still cost
And if the doctor says, "No, I can win it, I'm going to go for it," the insurance company will say, "Well, if you
You're on
lose,
your own.
You're on your own. You're going to pay for it." And so
Well,
what is
they have
what is the
riders.
incentive?
They had a
Isn't that
rider
what
in
the
her
insurance
policy
is for?
that the
But then the
doctor
premium
There's so
goes
many
up.
bogus
And-
lawsuits.
Yeah, the premiums go up, and the doctor passes it on to the patient. How does he do that?
There
Maybe
are
he orders a
actually,
few
there are
more
actually
tests.
blogs and forums out there. Since most people here watching this are online, there are actually blogs and forums out there telling people how to sue physicians for bogus stuff and get money out of them. I mean, and I'm not talking small amounts. I'm talking thousands and thousands of.
But it's very difficult to do. It is very difficult to do, and the insurance companies are not as eager as you think they are to just to settle this, particularly because the win rate of a malpractice case in New York, I don't know about other states, is not great.
Let me ask you all this as we sit here, and this is, I mean, no disrespect to any of us, but I'm just wondering if Americans are being well served by those of us who are talking about it, by the town hall meetings that are becoming shouting matches, by the ads that are being run in newspapers and television networks on all sides of this issue. I'm just wondering if we're having, if this is the right kind of discussion to have about such an important topic, and if we're doing it the right way, so that at the end of the day we can all stand here, whatever the outcome is, and be proud of the way we got to that point.
You're right, but this is America.
Right.
And if a politician can't handle hecklers, then he's not supposed to be a politician. I really believe that. However, there are times the heckler, there's heckling and there's stopping the meeting. And I think if stopping the meeting is if that's what's going on, and I haven't been in any of these meetings, if that's what's going on, that's wrong. If it's just heckling, then any good politician knows how to handle hecklers.
Maybe we need to get a group of economists that are nonpartisan or independent, and a group of finance people and a group of statisticians together in a room and talk about specific details and present that to the Americans.
Well, the other thing is we do debates. We do presidential debates. Let's do some real healthcare debates.
Well, we have
Yeah,
one. We have a presidential
but the
debate.
Democrats don't want to take the data. The data is that most people don't want to change,
And that's why they voted-
they want to change. They're listening to their Democratic colleagues. They're not dealing. I have showed you the data. There's a 5% percentage difference between those who want it and those who don't.
John,
If you listen to what people wanted, there would be no end of segregation in this country.
Come
There
back
would be
to
no.
the table.
There would be no.
John,
There would be no nothing.
There was an
progressive.
election in 2008, and Barack Obama made it perfectly clear, not clear enough
Here
apparently.
we go. This is what the data says, Ed.
But what does the election say?
The election
says
said
they
that the
voted for
Democrats-
Barack Obama. But he said,
Democrats
Mr. Sullivan,
won
New York Times, what do you think?
Because
I would say that-
independents voted for him.
Go ahead,
It
Paul.
wasn't just the Democrats that voted for him, and Republicans voted for him.
Go ahead,
And
Paul.
when you
Look,
consider
when-
this all
when-
out,
All right, John.
this
All right,
is the
John.
deal. I'm sorry.
Barack Obama also
Sorry.
said that he's
Sorry.
going to pay for all this by raising taxes on the top 5% of Americans. That's impossible.
Right.
There's no way that works. So if you want to talk about fuzzy math, that's about as fuzzy as it comes. And when you start talking about creating a government program that will then save money after its creation, that's also impossible. This just sort of.
why is it impossible to tax the top 5% of the population? What's wrong?
It's gonna be just
Wait, that's
the
not
top
But
five.
it
impossible.
won't,
It's
it's,
very
no, no, you
impossible.
can tax them all you
Just the
want,
top
but it won't
5%.
raise
Well,
enough money
exactly.
to pay for this whole
Right.
entire
How many
thing.
tax
How much would
more?
it raise? How much would it
Tax
raise?
them more,
It
yeah,
could raise
you
a trillion
tax
dollars, but it's not
people.
going to. I mean, I just had my doctor out in Connecticut where I live send around a letter to all of us saying he's no longer taking private insurance or Medicaid. So this is or Medicare, and so he's
If I
opting
were the
out.
governor,
He's now
he would be
saying
out.
you don't know why. It's free choice. He's a doctor.
But
he
you
has
know what?
he can
But you
know.
know what?
He's not. He
But-
has a license to
But now
practice.
that who pays for his education? Who gave him the loans? Who? I mean, and the other problem is, let's talk about it. The guilds with the physicians is another problem. We're not training enough physicians assistants. We're not training enough nurse
Well,
practitioners.
maybe
There has
part
to
of
be
the
an
reason that
incentive then.
exactly they don't want to go into that field and that
Here's the
marketplace
incentive.
because the money is not there like it used to be. And I'm sorry, but if you spend that long in medical school and you have that many bills and your ROI is your break-even point on your medical school costs versus your practice is about 8 years in the national average and more on the two coasts, you're not incentivized to go become a nurse. practitioner.
How about this
I'm
for
sorry.
an incentive?
Or
If-
to become a GP.
Or
Why
exactly,
become
or
a
especially an
cardiologist?
If you don't take
OBGYN who will
Medicare
leave you like
patients,
crazy.
you surrender your license. How's that for an incentive? That'd be an incentive, wouldn't it?
Free
Paul,
choice.
what
This
happens?
is a carrot and this
I
is a
agree.
stick also.
Paul, since you write
Did
about
America
the
go-
wealthy,
How
what
draconian.
happens to the wealthy when they are taxed, when their taxes go up? I mean, right now the proposal, I think, is to obviously let the Bush tax cuts expire,
Right, we
and then
like
to
everything.
bring the tax rates back to where they were during the Clinton administration. What are you hearing in your reporting when you talk to people about what kind of changes the wealthy would have to make in their lives, in their businesses, if that were to take place?
Well, on the macro level, I just had lunch with a bunch of private bankers before coming over here, and they said people are rushing now to find different ways to sort out their businesses before 2010. So what are they doing? They're putting them in trusts. They're giving away everything now so that they can lock in these tax rates. That's great for the private banking industry. That's great for accountants. That's great for lawyers. But at the end of the day, I mean, these people are very sophisticated. They're going to give over as little as they can in taxes. On a short-term level, an article I wrote a couple months ago was out in Fairfield County. These people are cutting back on all kinds of services. They're not, putting in the new pools. They're not, doing the landscaping. You may say, well, nobody needs a pool. Nobody needs nice landscaping. Nobody needs a 10,000 square foot house. That may be your opinion. However, they employ 10, 20, 30 people to maintain their house. So those are people who are counting on the money from the very rich to keep them going. They'll cut back on that very quickly.
He's right. Show me someone employed by a poor guy who's created hundreds of jobs. Show me someone. It doesn't happen.
During the 50s, we had very high taxes, income taxes in New York State, certainly, and in the country. And during the Clinton years, we had very higher taxes than we now have. We weren't very high.
Right.
Those are two prosperous periods of time. We were rolling in dough. In the 50s, we ruled the world economically. And in the Clinton years, we had a surplus in the budget.
As cute as you are, but he's right.
The secular bull market is said to have begun in 1982 when Ronald Reagan cut taxes. So he cut it from a marginal rate, an effective rate of 70%. Exactly. And so that's the bull market dates from 1982.
You won't give Clinton any credit.
I'm not saying, but I mean... Yeah,
look
if you're a president,
but he was a conservative Democrat, and look what they did to Hillary. The left controlled the primaries, and what happened is the centrists did not win.
What are you talking about? The left controlled the primaries. I wish.
Barack Obama made it perfectly clear that he was going to have a health care plan. Did anyone doubt that?
He did, but then the economy collapsed.
So they voted for him. They voted for him.
Changed.
So you can't say that we need a poll to find out what people think. We know what they think. They voted for Obama.
He also said while we would have
health care,
he said while we would have health care, we would also not increase taxes on people making more than $250,000 or less than $250,000, and that is simply, literally impossible to do without pushing off the debt to our children. Impossible to do.
Yeah, and the world he ran his campaign in is not the world we live in today.
No, that's right.
So our biggest issue is fixing the economy and sorting out what's happening. People forget because we've gotten used to this lower level of wealth.
We can't walk to two governments at the same time.
I ask this question all the time.
We went from 14,000 to 6,000, and now we're back up to 9,000.
Mr. Sullivan, wealth creator.
Or bow tie guy.
If you were to wave a magic wand and come up with 3 ways to help this country again reestablish wealth, what would it be?
It wouldn't be cap and trade. It wouldn't be health care, and it wouldn't be
absolutely not.
I asked you, what would you do?
Health care would be number one.
Destroy the bill.
And because the healthcare program of some kind. Of course, we're talking about plans that we don't know the details of because there are so many plans flying around. But the healthcare, it would bring people. It would bring the nation together. It would mean that if my mother has cancer, she gets the same treatment that a wealthy person's mother who gets cancer.
What would happen is
water that down. Excuse me. If you do that, you water down the whole system,
no, you don't
and you won't get.
You will.
No, what you're going to have is what they have in the UK. Right. Yeah, you have the government-funded healthcare system, and then you have these top-up plans that people buy
would be awful.
when they have money.
And in Canada, where you have universal health care, the parliamentarians are tripping over themselves to abolish it, to repeal that law.
And then they're coming here to actually get their health care.
Not one has offered an amendment to repeal the health care plan.
Because
he'd be thrown out of office.
My brother was not poor, went into Lenox Hill. We had some hard pains one night. This is before Obama. And he came in, and there was all minorities sitting in the emergency room. And he called me up, and he said, you know, Ellen, he said, these people need health care. They need to not be in the emergency room. They need some basic kind of health care. And he voted for Obama.
Then give these people a tax credit that allows them to go buy their own health care. Don't make it government. You know, why don't we all answer your question? 3 things that we can do to help the economy. Small business tax cuts, lower the dividend tax, and undo the cap and trade Obama policy bill.
So lower taxes, and lower taxes.
Right, lower taxes stimulates
we put in no broadband in this country. We have no overall...
No broadband? Are you joking?
Yeah.
Seriously, you are joking. I'm joking. That's good. That makes sense.
The one thing we need is we need certainty. We need to know what is going to happen. I mean, this policy, this healthcare policy, it's gone back and forth. We now have this recess. These guys are getting pilloried.
It's called democracy. It's called democracy.
I think it's creating. I think watching this debate, I think it's creating a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
and driving a lot of people to the doctor. Seriously, I see these senior citizens shouting at their lawmakers, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, they're going to have like a heart attack. They're standing there yelling at their local congressman or congresswoman, and they're going to have a heart attack as a result of yelling and screaming over health care reform.
It's a passion this sort of thing invokes because it's so socialistic.
I wouldn't want it. Socialistic?
Look, I believe
Having
that
vapors.
we need health care reform. I don't think that things are perfect. However, by rushing into this situation, and I know this is, I've said this before, this is the clash between marketing 101 and politics 101. Politics 101 is you got the power, you use the power, get the thing passed, and then we worry about the problems later. Marketing 101 is to find out what it is people want, and it's not, according to my data, it's not there. What do
And
you
he
do?
is the marketing doctor.
And I'm the marketing
Ladies and
doctor.
gentlemen, John Tantillo.
Yeah.
Good news.
What?
You just had a great soundbite.
That was a great soundbite. And
great.
John,
I like it.
thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Great to see you. We're swapping you out because we've got a musician who's going to join the panel. We're not going to.
Caught telling the truth, John.
That's what happened.
I love Terrence.
John, thank you very much. That was
You're very
great.
welcome.
He'll be here for you.
Nice job.
Okay.
We
the
want to
cutest
welcome
thing on
right
earth.
now Vince
Bye, sweetheart.
Malamed. Vince, nice to meet you. Rick Fulbaum.
Pleasure.
Thanks for being here. Say hello to our other
I was just
panelists.
at-
Vince is a musician whose new CD is called What Matters Most.
Yes.
It's out on Adroit Records. You can find it at adroitrecords.com as we step in front of the
Just
camera
at the
there.
Woodstock Museum the
and
other day,
you
Wednesday.
played at Woodstock.
No.
You were at
I was there.
You were there.
CD.
Here it is, yeah.
No, I actually was there. I was in bands back then. That's a long time ago.
It was only 40 years ago.
That's a long time ago.
40 years ago.
Some of us think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So you were already
I was in
you were
California.
already a musician.
I was a musician. I already had a record deal when I was 16, and our band was always interested. You know, it was a cultural thing. We didn't have the internet to just check up on everything. So if we heard that there was a big festival, we'd get in our cars, we bought our $14 ticket, and drove out there. And by the time we got there, the fence was knocked down, and everyone was getting it free. But,
I was going to say, I heard about this was the festival of all festivals.
You know what? The Monterey Pop Festival was the festival of all festivals.
I was at that one.
Were you at that?
You were
I was
there?
at that one too. It was still the Innocence was there, some great acts, and it was a better. There was only 55,000 people.
I was with a friend, and I said, I'll show you how to sneak in, because I know how to sneak into everything.
Did you get rained
So I
on?
started knocking on doors.
Not in Monterey.
Follow the electrical cables. That's the trick. Sneaking in.
Oh, that's a good
And
idea.
So I
That's how you
followed
find
it,
the band.
And I tried a door, it didn't work, and I was walking away, and the door opened. And the guy said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm sneaking in." He says, "Oh," he said, "Here's some tickets."
Very nice. Vince, tell us about this new CD.
Well, I've been a sideman for years. I've been a sideman for Bob Dylan, Jimmy Buffett, the Eagles, J.D. Souther, Glenn Frey, Rita Coolidge, Dan Fogelberg. And I
Nice
moved
resume.
to Nashville. Thank you. I moved to Nashville in 1985, to work with Roseanne Cash. And I stayed in Nashville and started writing. And been very, very lucky, successful, had a bunch of hits. So I just, my good friend, Jim Track, started a label, Adroit Records. It's a local Nashville label. And we got together and we did a full album with full band. It's not like a little songwriter with, I play keyboards anyway, not this. So,
and every song is about the healthcare reform debate? Is that right?
absolutely, every song.
What do you write about?
I write about, you name it, it's in here.
Love. Very much love.
It's country
course.
music. Come on,
It's country
love.
music.
It's heartbreak.
Actually, the song
A little bit of jail time.
Walk Away Joe, it was a big Trisha Yearwood hit, and back in the early 90s, when that's one of the earlier ones, we weren't sure if it would be country, because of all things, country music used to be blue collar and, situations like that, and it was a song about an underage girl running off with a guy, and he robs a gas station, and we said, this will never make country music, but she had the foresight to do it.
Sounds like a movie to me.
It does. I know. Let's make one.
So when you're writing a song, do you have in your head that this is going to be a country song, or this is going? I mean, you mentioned some non-country performers. You've worked with Rita Coolidge. Do you sort of your music? Because I was recently there's like a Lady Gaga song, and I'm sorry
Yeah.
to bring up Lady Gaga, but
all right.
Chris Daughtry took a Lady Gaga song and turned it into a Chris Daughtry song, to the point where you listen to both versions and you can't believe that they're the same song, but they're the same exact
Right.
song. So just by the arrangement, I guess.
Yes, exactly. In fact, in the old days, R&B and country, you would be surprised how similar they were in the 60s. Like you had a song, If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right.
Yeah,
which
I
was an
remember
R&B song, but then someone like Barbara Mandrell, would record it, and all of a sudden it's a country song. I have one song on here, She'd Give Anything to Fall in Love was a country song, but then Gerald Levert cut it, and then it was an R&B hit. So sometimes, you're right, exactly, it's the arrangement.
So what are you doing to promote this other than coming and talking to us on the strategy
I'm coming
room?
to talking to you, and I'm doing radio appearances, and
I should get you on some of our radio shows. So
I
we'll
would
be
love
glad
to. Please. Well, let's talk after the show.
Now, are you politically active at all? Do you pay attention to...
I pay attention, yeah.
Where are you on the political spectrum?
On the political, let me say that...
Whoever buys the CD is a friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's your vote.
Talking about... I mean, you guys are going back and forth, and it was interesting. My wife and I are godparents to a child who has a single mother, and we help support them sometimes. And because she doesn't have health care coverage, anytime there's an illness or anything, they go straight to the emergency, which has to be a burden on us as taxpayers. And I think that if there was some kind of coverage or something, we wouldn't be paying. Talk about paying every time someone who doesn't have the funds ends up going to the emergency room because they have a sore throat. That's a $150 bill. So
we have a very inefficient system.
Yes.
Now. And I'm not saying Americans turn people away, because they don't.
Right.
If a wino stumbles into the street, gets hit by a bus, goes into the emergency room, they'll take him in, and they should. And thank God I live in a country that would do that.
Yeah.
But it's a very inefficient way of running it.
Well,
tax credits.
Mr. New York Times, what do you think about inefficiency?
I
The
love
definition of
inefficiency.
government?
I embrace it, and that's such a wide open question. I mean,
Sit back up so you're in the camera.
It's an amazing question. I mean, do I think a government-run system is going to be more efficient? No, I don't. But also, the argument, do I think the system we have right now is perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, my argument is on how it's going to be paid for, and the desire to rush something through so quickly. That's where I argue. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, the private insurance we have right now are great. I don't believe that to be
Please
the
give
case.
people time to read the bill.
Let me
maybe
read it.
post it online, let the American people read it.
A three-word solution.
No, read it.
Medicare
Get
for
snapshots.
everybody. If you had Medicare
Single payer.
for
I want to marry
everybody,
you.
then you would solve the problem, be simple, and we simply extend to a healthier part of the population, Medicare now, which is for people 65 and over, and it would extend it downward into a population that is healthier. So, therefore, per person, it would probably cost less, and it would be a very, very...
It will be very bankrupting out to our
Well, how about
Go ahead,
three
Vince.
words?
Not really.
Preventative, preventative, preventative. If you'd educate the public on how to take
Yes.
care of themselves instead of saying,
still have
well, I'll
to
just
want
wait till something happens and I'll run.
People
You know
don't
something-
have to want to. They'd rather have a hostess than go eat something healthy.
We see on this
That's
thing
free choice.
that Eunice Shriver is in critical condition. And I wrote a piece for the Fox Forum that, Kennedy started this thing on 50-mile hikes. He didn't go on one, but he started this whole...
He had a horrible back. He was on a
Bobby
50-mile hike.
Bobby Kennedy walked 50 miles in February along the towpath, and in regular shoes. In one day, it took him 17 and a half hours. But there was models then. We had this president's physical fitness thing. It was in the schools. It was in everybody's consciousness. We need something like that.
And we
Well, we
had
wish,
that with Bush biking and so on for 8 years.
We
which
wish
was
the
awesome.
best to Eunice Shriver. I hadn't seen that she was sick, but I think that a nice way to take a break from all of this would be to pick up the new Vince Malamet album, What Matters
Great.
Most.
Thank you.
Give yourself a little bit of a break
What's it
from
say?
the heated debate that's going on.
I'm sorry,
website.
Rick, may I just say the website?
Yeah, please
That's
do.
right.
What's the website, Vince? Please do.
It's there's VinceMelamed.com, www.vincemelamed.com, and also www.adroitrecords.com.
Adroit Records, ADROIT Records.com. Good luck with it, Vince.
Thanks a
nice
lot.
to talk
Thank
to
you. It's
you.
a pleasure.
Nice to meet you. John, who was here earlier, marketingdoctor.tv. Ellen, always a pleasure. Dani Babb, DrDanielleBabb.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Always fun.
Very, very fun. Ed Sullivan, former New York Assemblyman.
Could I mention something? If
Yeah, go ahead,
anybody
sir.
wants to email me at edsullivan606 Verizon.net. I will send them a copy of a column I write every week, and then they can get angry at me.
Where's your column? Where's
Very
your column?
nice.
I send it to whoever. Give me your card, I'll send it to you.
I will, darling.
Very good. And Paul Sullivan, columnist for the New York Times. Paul's column is called Wealth Matters. What is that, once a week?
Tomorrow. Runs Saturdays in the business section.
It's a great column, and I'm glad to.
Then I'll email you.
Thanks very much.
I've been reading you. It's nice to finally meet you in person. And that's it for us for this hour. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Monday.
No. Well, I'll be here tomorrow morning. I'll actually be on tomorrow morning. I'm going to be anchoring our coverage of the swearing-in of Sonia Sotomayor, and then throughout the day on Fox News Channel. And then the Strategy Room, we'll see you again Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.